I had the opportunity to speak about yield bonds and social media. I know yield bonds a little bit better, so I decided, let's push the envelope and do social media. I'm kidding, of course, David. Thank you so much for that. It was all over my head. Speaking of social media, who wants to grow their social media presence? Okay. And who's attempted at growing their social media presence? How's it been? Fun? Have a good time? It's complex, right? It seems like it's always changing and you can never get it down. That's why I was super excited when I was looking at the electives for this speech that I could choose about how to grow your social media presence. Finally, Toastmasters had an opportunity for us to go through and teach us about social media. Great, I thought. I could have used this 2 years ago when I got into digital. Yet, not everything was sunshine and rainbows. Here's a Toastmaster, my fellow Toastmasters and fellow guests. We got it wrong. In social media marketing, in digital marketing, education has lagged behind what's actually going on. We like to overcomplicate things. And it's not Toastmasters' fault. No, I love Toastmasters. Toastmasters, you're listening? Also, it's not the institution's fault. And it's not the platform's fault. It's how we go about understanding what social media is, why it's important, and how to actually be prevalent on these platforms. What is social media? Social media is any platform or any institution that you can do cross-communication. This means that users can create content or have communications. We think about LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat. These are all great social media platforms. But there's also others that we don't consider social media platforms that really are. Yelp, Rotten Tomatoes. These are social media platforms. People create messages, and other people execute against them. Chelsea's a perfect example of this today. We met online, yet she's here today. And that's the power of social media right there. And that moves into why it's important. Communication's always evolving. We used to chisel in rocks when we wanted to communicate. Now, we chisel into our phones. If you're like me, you're addicted to it, and you do it all the time. But realistically, it's not going away, and that's why it's so important. Much like there will always be speakers, there'll always be social media platforms. Yesterday, it was MySpace. Tomorrow, it might be TikTok. And it's important for us as communicators to always be thinking, what's actually going on? Okay, so now I've scared you a little bit. Now I made it complex, as many people do teach. So let's break it down on why it's actually pretty simple. With the FDE method. F, foundations. Yes, I wrote a book called We're All Marketers, the 20 go-to principles, foundations of marketing. Marketing is a lot like exercise and nutrition. There's basic fundamentals. Something that me and Paul have talked about quite a bit is you can't expect to get a chiseled physique like mine just overnight. It takes a while to get there. You have to go through the motions. And you can't do it once, or twice, or 3 times a week. You have to continuously make it a habit. Foundations. Understand your niche, who you're talking to, how to tell stories. You already have a competitive advantage over everyone else because you're in this organization. You already practice communication. You know how to do it effectively. We get up here every single day, every single Tuesday, and we do it. F. D. Design. You have to design a plan. It doesn't matter if you say you want to be healthy if you don't have a plan to execute against it. So, we have to design a plan that's unique for you. What's different for me, or what's needed for me, is different from you. So for instance, if I want to get 10,000 followers, it's going to be very different what I have to do than what Seth has to do, or what Gary has to do. And it has to be a plan that we can stand by. If you say you want to post 10 times a day on LinkedIn, great. But let's try once a week. Then we work up to that. And your plan has to be agile enough. One problem that I'm noticing when people teach about social media is they have this cookie cutter approach to social media marketing. Is there a cookie cutter way for help? For investing? No. And social media is the same way. E. Execute. We can understand the foundations, we can build a plan, but it doesn't matter at all unless we actually execute. I can read all the books I want in the world about why it's so important to do push-ups. I can study the biomechanics on why and how to do it. But unless if I get down and actually do a push-up, all the foundation work, all the prep work, and all the planning doesn't matter. F, D, E. And why is this relevant for you and I? Like I mentioned, social media is not going away. And the lines between the digital world and the physical world are blurred. I brought up the example with Chelsea, but we make decisions every single day. How many times have we gone to Yelp to look up a restaurant before we actually gone? Yeah? Happens quite a bit. We make decisions based on communication online. And it's not going away. And my biggest advice is focus on the FDE method. Don't overcomplicate it. Find your foundation, build a plan, and learn to execute. You're not going to get it right the first time. When you came up here the first time, you were scared. I'm still scared today. But with practice and practice and practice, you'll find your message. You got better at it each and every time. Social media is the same way. Now I'm going to pause here because I have 2 to 3 minutes allocated to answering the question that Toastmasters prompted me to do. How do I grow my social media presence? So I want to open up to you because, like I said, most people try and overcomplicate social media and growing a social media following and all the intricacies of it. And I want to distill why it's important and how it can make it practical for you. So I want to open up 2 to 3 minutes, questions, go. Yes?
Do you recommend focusing on one particular platform, and which one would you recommend you start with?
Yeah, so back to the basic conversation, D, what's the design? When you design a plan, you have to have a goal in mind. So each platform works like a tool in your kit. You can use a hammer or a saw, but they do 2 different things. So without knowing exactly what context it is, I say keep it general, 70, 20, 10. 70% of your time and effort on one platform that you get the most results from, 20% on another one that is kind of experimental, and 10% what I call a moonshot. It's the platforms that could come into practice, but aren't there yet. 70, 20, 10. Any more questions? Yes?
You mentioned MySpace. Probably not everybody know what MySpace is. What do you think made MySpace die and Facebook successful enough to completely overpower it?
I only like to answer questions I know everything about. My biggest recommendation, that's why I focus on the FDE method, because I don't really care what platform I market on or what platform I'm building my brand on. I only care about, does it fit inside of those criteria. When you have the F down, it doesn't matter what platform. MySpace is the same as Twitter in regards to the videos, text, and images you can put on there. The only thing that's really changed is intention. And once you have the D right, when you know your goal, if I'm marketing to kids 12 to 18, TikTok's my place to go. If I want to sell and market more to people who are more professional, LinkedIn is the place to go. And that all changes based on the user's attention. So I don't know why MySpace went away. All I know is that the end user's attention switched. And if you didn't have the strong foundation or design, you executed in the wrong place. Yes?
You mentioned different audiences.
Yes.
Generational differences.
Yes.
Where can we go if we're interested in what is the best platform for, let's say, a certain demographic?
Google.
Just Google that?
Mhm.
What would be the search term?
What platform do people 65 and older spend time on?
Okay, simple as that.
Yeah.
And what's the answer to that?
Facebook. Facebook. It's starting to teeter into Instagram, but Facebook's your place to go.
I ever heard that using social media is a waste of time.
Sure. Watching TV is a waste of time too. There's active consumption and passive consumption. Is it ROI positive to watch TV? Depends. If you're watching a documentary, might be very ROI positive. If you're watching sports, maybe not. Social media is just like any tool. I'm really, really good with a hammer, but I can't play piano. So which one's ROI positive for me? Any more questions? Perfect. And like I said, while I'm wrapping up here, keep it simple. Many of my answers were very basic because really, this is a very easy to digest industry. Thank you.